Welcome to We Don't Color on the Dog. Big news today. Mayor DC Reeves announced that he has chosen his new city administrator. It's a longtime friend, David Stafford. David, thank you and congratulations.
Thanks, Rick. Good morning.
Good morning. We were talking before we came on air was that you weren't on my radar. I didn't know, I figured you were out retired and relaxed and just cashing in on the big paychecks and staying out of government. What interests you about coming and being administrator for the city?
There's a whole lot that does. Just to be clear, I was not. I wasn't out actively looking for something else. It was just one of those things. I learned a long time ago, and in life generally, and in sort of our world, you don't always control the timing. And that's kind of how I got in back in 2004. I was not intending to. I'd come back to Pensacola. I was not intending to run for office in 2004. And then some weird stars aligned, and ended up, as you remember, getting in on the last day of that race. And and then 19 years later, that's what I did. Was doing that for better part of 2 decades. So let's start from the very beginning. I was born Baptist Hospital, Pensacola, 1970.
And they've torn it down just in time. They're tearing it down just as you become administrator.
Exactly. And odd things like my father. I don't know if a lot of people know this. My father, who recently passed away, was at one time the city attorney in the city of Pensacola. I mean, obviously at that point it was a side gig. So raised my family here. Worked downtown Pensacola for 2 decades, and as you remember when we first met, I was working first for Connie Mack and then for Joe here regionally, working on issues here affecting the city of Pensacola, and then obviously went on to run the elections department for the county. And then, so it was one of those things that just kind of started off a couple of conversations, and here we are. And I'm just looking forward to the challenge. I have huge shoes to fill. I'm lucky as a friend of mine, and we had some good conversations, and so along with the mayor, and I'm really looking forward to it. I know, like I said, it's a big challenge. $300 million plus budget with an international airport, a port, a gas utility, not to mention, of course, fire and police and all of the other big things, and close to 900 employees. But the mayor's assembled a great team, and I'm looking forward to learning a lot and hitting the ground running.
It's really different, David. You think about when y'all came back to Pensacola, having been with in New York and DC, and the Pensacola of 2004 is very different from the Pensacola of 2025. I mean, it's night and day, the difference. Yeah,
it sure is.
Yeah.
I mean, I even remember I was when I first there in January of 2005, when I walked into the office, and everybody looked at me like, who is this guy? And we were on the top floor of the old courthouse. The new county administrative building hadn't even been completed yet. And so that was where I started, was there on the fourth floor of the old courthouse. And the old joke, used to be able to roll tumbleweeds down Palafox after 5 o'clock. And just to watch that sort of gradual transformation over the years has been remarkable. And I tell people, because I've got kids now that are out of college, and when I first came back to Pensacola was in the early 90s. It was not the place to be for a young professional. Quite frankly, that was one of the reasons I left to go spend some time, and my wife and I up in DC. But ultimately, we're pulled back to Pensacola, where we call home. And again, it was a wonderful place, and we lived, for the better part of my time. We lived up in North Hill, and so lived, worked, kids went to school, all in about a 2-mile radius. And so just to watch that transformation has been remarkable, and the steady progress. Again, my friends Ashton Hayward and Grover Robinson, who preceded Mayor Reeves, just watch that steady progress over the years. It's exciting to now be a part of it. Of course, I was associated with the city when I was in my prior iteration as as supervisor, but now being part of the actual city is an exciting opportunity, and I look forward to serving.
Yeah, it is. I think there's a lot of value, David, in having someone who knows Pensacola in that position of administrator, because this is, even for those that may live here but not be part of the political scene, it still can be challenging to understand the history about things and how things work, and how to navigate the different interest might be the best that you have in town, between business and community and county and city and state and even the federal government. That becomes, someone with your background who has done that I think is an invaluable asset for the mayor to have, because my understanding in watching DC is that he really wants to not have to deal with the day-to-day operations, to be able to be the thought leader and the communicator, but not necessarily get bogged down in the minutia of running government.
Well, I give huge credit, at least what I've seen thus far, and talking to both the mayor and some other folks on the inside, is that what Tim Kinsella did during his 9 months that he was there was made some very, very important strategic moves, both structurally as well as personnel wise. Couldn't be happier to walk in behind him and be able to capitalize, quite frankly, on some of the important hard work that he's already done. He had obviously, as you know, leading the transition and then coming on as administrator, had a unique perspective there and did a tremendous amount of what I've thus far have seen is really good work. Look forward to coming in behind him and working with folks like Cliff and Adrian and Amy Miller and the rest of the folks. That's the other thing of, budget director Amy Lavoie. I remember back in the day, she was my budget director. One of the assistant county attorneys city attorneys used to be my attorney over at the county. So, lots of familiar faces, lots of new faces too. And that's one of the things that I look forward to taking as much time as I need to learn. And Matt Coughlin at the airport, good folks, right, doing good work. And I just hopefully try not to mess it up.
Well, yeah, we can have our hopes. Maybe no, I'm teasing. I'm excited about it, David. I think it's a good move for DC. I think that it's for the city. It's a great move to have, and it's for me. I like having you back in government. You were always a stabilizing force. I think in government, always the cool head. The way you ran the elections was very, very smooth, and your relationship with the community is strong. So I'm excited to have you there, and we'll do this more often once you get settled in.
Thanks, Rick. I really appreciate it. It's good to be back.
All right. Take care.
Yep.
Thanks for watching, and to keep up with what's going on, be sure and subscribe. Just click on the little dog to the right and click the subscribe button. You can also like this video and click on the bell, which will notify you of new content. This really helps the channel grow. We appreciate you.